I think a lot of people are talking about your head coach right now, Kevin O'Connell. He might be the coach of the year the way this is going right now. What makes him so special?
KO is a wizard. He's a genius out there, but he cares. He really cares about his players, and I appreciate that man for everything that he does and the opportunities that he's given me.
Joining us today on NFL Spotlight, he's a former undrafted free agent, a two-time Pro Bowler, a team captain, and now in his 9th year with the Minnesota Vikings, his hometown team. It is CJ Ham. CJ, thanks for doing this. How are you?
I'm doing well. Appreciate you guys having me on. Truly a pleasure.
For sure. We've had several former undrafted free agents on here, and I have like the utmost respect for all of you because you really have to like scratch and claw to make it. But before I get into the entire journey, let me just ask you about what you have going on right now because you're coming off a bye. You're one of only 2 teams undefeated. Just what are the vibes like right now? How awesome has it been to prove so many doubters wrong so far this year?
Yeah, it's been great. We've obviously gotten off to a hot start. Being 5-0 is not easy in this league. Winning games in the NFL isn't easy. So to be able to get off to a hot start is great. But we know at the end of the day, like it's one game at a time. We can't necessarily, think about the doubters or anything like that. It's about just coming in, being a connected team, and going out there week by week, winning day by day, and just going 1-0.
I love it. I love it. So you guys obviously have a very big divisional game here coming up this week, but let's talk about you over here because when I think about you, underdog is the word that kind of comes to mind because you have faced plenty of challenges on the field, off the field, which we'll cover here throughout the conversation. But going back to like your high school and your college football days, you did not attend a big D1 school, but you still had 24 touchdowns between your junior and senior years of high school before going on to play at a D2 college at Augustana University. But I know you also starred in track and field. Was there ever a point where maybe football wasn't the sport for you? How did you end up deciding on football?
Yeah, I mean, football was always a sport. I do love track. I love it, to this day. I actually competed in a college track meet I think a couple seasons ago. Hadn't thrown in probably about 7 years, and went out and competed at a college meet and did pretty well. So like, I love track. It's something I did from when I was in middle school all the way through college. But I didn't get recruited to do track. I was recruited, to play football. And when I got there, we didn't have many throwers on the track team. So we had another guy on our team named Aaron Jung, who was throwing, and just invited me to come out there and throw with him. And I was able to get a scholarship.
That's pretty cool. So you obviously end up like sticking with football and your college career comes to an end and you go undrafted. And this is what I was talking about before. Going undrafted in the NFL and making it, it's really hard. And I know that you've mentioned before that that happening to you, it kind of hurts you a little bit. And you're somebody who is deeply rooted into your faith. And you get a call, I believe it was while you were in church, that your hometown team, the Vikings, want to try you out. What was that phone call like? And what ends up happening after that once you make that tryout?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, truly a dream come true. I mean, you said it. Obviously, I didn't think I was going to get drafted. Just with how things were going, coming from a smaller school, didn't really, I didn't have scouts, pounding on my door, talking to my agent and whatnot. So being drafted was a bit of a long shot, but I know I had a couple good pro days where I talked to some teams. So I thought for sure, I could get a call, as a college free agent. And when that didn't happen, it was hard. It was tough. But like you said, on that Sunday when I was in church, I got that call from my agent to, that I'm going to get an opportunity to be, in the rookie mini camp with my home state team. With dream come true. I remember calling my parents, telling my fiance at the time. It was definitely a dream come true, and to be able to go out there, I think it was the right place, right time. It was a year we didn't draft any running backs. I was playing running back at the time. Didn't draft any running backs. They had 2 college free agent guys. One of them was banged up, so it just allowed me to have more opportunities in the camp to, show the Vikings what I could do. And I was able to get that. Right after rookie mini camp, I was able to get that call saying, "Hey, CJ, come up to the office. We want to sign you to the 90-man roster." And it was it's always I always say it's a story that only God can write, and I'm just thankful and blessed.
Now, how big of a Vikings fan were you as a kid? Like, are we talking about the Randy Moss, Chris Carter days? Like, were we like really all in on this team?
Yeah, for sure. I was more growing up. I was more of a fan of players, but the Vikings were like my team that I like. Obviously, I followed being in Minnesota, but like the Randy Moss, Chris Carter. I used to rock a Chris Carter jersey all the time. Actually, I used to our head of player development, Jasper Brinkley. When he got hired on, I told him like, hey, growing up, I used to have one of your jerseys, and I only missed him by a couple of years, which is pretty crazy.
Wow. That is unbelievable. So now here you are, you're with your hometown team, you're playing with the Vikings, you make it there on the 90-man roster. Eventually they put you on the practice squad. 2016 comes to an end. You mentioned you are a running back. You make this big change in 2017 and transition to fullback. Why did you make that decision in a league where I think it's fair to say fullback was kind of dying in the league?
Mm-hmm. And well, first I would say it wasn't necessarily my choice. It is so that was the year that we had drafted Dalvin. We
Dalvin,
had
yeah.
signed Latavius Murray that year as well. And I'm sitting at home and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna do all I can to compete with these guys. But obviously, it's gonna be tough sledding ahead of me. Got a guy like Dalvin who is amazing, and will go down as one of the best running backs to put on a purple jersey, in my opinion. And Latavius, with the career that he had, I'm like, oh, it's going to be tough. And I think we still had Jarek at the time too. So then I got a call leading into that season saying, hey, CJ, we want you to learn the fullback position. And I was more than ecstatic at the time. To me, it just showed me that the Vikings wanted to find a way for me, give me an opportunity to make this team. So I was more than happy to do it, and it was definitely a transition. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to switch in that first couple of years. I feel like I struggled. I was trying to learn the position, learn pad leverage and all these different things, but the physicality part, I played running back as a 240 pound running back, so the physicality part, gaining weight, all that stuff was already good for me.
I mean, like, here's the thing though, like the art of being a good fullback, like you really need to know how to block, pass protect, short yardage runner, receiving skills, versatile, special teams. I mean, it truly is like a thankless job that requires toughness and being a team first guy. Your football IQ to read defenses has to be second to none. Was there ever a point where you were like, I just can't do this, it might be a little bit too much for me, or were you always like all in, I'm gonna make it as a fullback?
Oh yeah, I never had any doubts. It's always been about the team first, and so getting that call saying you want to switch you to fullback was just like, hey, I'll do whatever you need for me to help this team. So then, like you said, I mean, being a fullback, being a third string running back, those types of things, you have to be willing to do some of those things, play on special teams, and excel at it. Early in my career, special teams was something I really hung my hat on, and it's still something I hung my hat on. I say that being a teamer is what helped me make it into the league, and is continuing to be what I bring to this team. Being a guy who can come out here, playing all four phases, and go out there and get the job done. So being a teamer, being able to come in on third downs and pass protect, these are all things that you have to you know find your niche in, and you just show value in this game that is changing every single year.
I mean, you were the special teams player of the year for the Vikings for the organization a couple of years ago as well. So you really took it all very seriously. And this is what it takes to be when you're an undrafted player trying to make it there. And you really did settle in as a fullback and everything else. And then in March of 2020, right around when COVID started, you get rewarded with this 3-year contract extension by the Vikings. What did that moment mean for you when you get that call from your agent? We're extending you, it's more than the league minimum now. Like, what was that all about for you?
Man, it's something you really can't put into words. Thankful to be just in the league at all, but to sign a contract to get into that second contract. Those are what a lot of players dream of being able to have some type of stability, to have some guarantees. It was a dream come true to know that hey, we're gonna be home in Minnesota for 3 more years, and my family was more than ecstatic. Truly a blessing to be able to share this experience with them, right? To be in Minnesota with my family, being 2 hours away, my friends that I went to high school with, people that are close with me, to be able to share this experience with them and sign on a dotted line. It was icing on the cake.
Well, you've been extended again ever since that happened. I'm just like reflecting on everything. Making it in the NFL is tough. Making it as an undrafted player is even harder. You were undrafted coming out of college. You fast forward to 2024. You're a two-time Pro Bowler. You've been extended multiple times. Do you ever reflect on how cool this is, or do you like, I'll reflect when my career is over? Like this is, like you said, it's truly something you only see in stories.
Yeah, I do every single year. When you're in it, it's kind of tough to sit back and reflect. But every off season, I do take some time to just thank God for where He's placed me, what He's done in my life. It hasn't been easy. There's been a lot of ups and downs, some wins, some losses. On the field and off the field. But to know that I'm here for a reason and God has placed me here for a reason. I've signed extensions because I feel that God has something for me, continue to have something for me here. So I'm just truly, truly blessed, man, and I just can't thank God enough for it all.
Aside from the football player and all the great things you do on the field, I've heard a lot about you and your wife, Stephanie. Like, you guys are very involved in the community. You've been an advocate for those who suffer from disabilities. You yourself have shared how growing up with a stutter, with anxiety, made your life incredibly difficult at times. Where did that love of giving back come from, and why was it so important for you to share all that for other people who might have the same challenges?
Yeah, I mean, I first say just giving back. I mean, somebody did it for me. It's just growing up in the community centers, the boys and girls clubs. There were so many people that just took the extra time to check in on me, to make sure I was okay, to make sure I was doing all the things that I needed to do and to put me in the positions that I'm in today. And I can't thank those people enough. Alongside my folks. So I just feel like it's my job, it's my duty to be able to do those same things, to be in the position that I'm in, to be able just to show love, and to just give people what they deserve. And I'm just grateful that I'm surrounded by my family, my wife, who has the same type of heart to just give back and just love on people, see people where they're at, and just love on them.
Now, you mentioned your wife and you have your three kids. They were all just now in your last game in London versus the Jets. They were all there. You scored a touchdown. What was that for you when you're able to score and then they're all in the crowd as well in a game that is obviously across the pond?
Yeah, man, that's super special because my wife, pretty much every away game that she's not at, she always says, "Don't score," because she wants to be there. So to be able to score in that situation across the pond in a game that doesn't happen every single year. To have all three of my kids there along with my wife, truly truly special. And I definitely kept that ball, going to get that ball painted and all those things. I know my wife would have yelled at me if I didn't. So I was grateful, definitely grateful.
That is amazing. So, we were talking about the fullback thing before. Do you ever see some more teams embracing the fullback position the way the game once was? I mean, the Minnesota Vikings do it, the 49ers do it, the Ravens do it. Not many teams do it though, besides for those. Like, do you think that there's going to be a time where it kind of comes back a little bit?
I think there's definitely a possibility. I mean, I said it earlier on in this interview that you know this league changes every single year. There's things that are that everybody's doing that you start to see more teams do. And you mentioned those teams: the 49ers, the Ravens, the Vikings, the Dolphins. All use the fullback position heavily, and they have success doing it. And I think when teams are having success doing something like that over time, there could be more and more teams that are employing that position. And you see it. I mean, not every single team has a fullback, but every single team does use I formation or an offset formation. They'll put a tight end back there or an O lineman or even a D lineman back there. Just showing that like that part of the game is still very important. But we have some absolute ballers out there who play the fullback position. And then there's so many out there, so many of those guys out there who go out there every single day and just do their job and just have a huge impact on their team. And they might not get all the recognition for it. They might not be in the stat books, but if you know football, you watch closely, you see that these guys are making a difference. And when you got guys like that going out there, doing their job, doing it well, anything can happen, and we can get back to having more teams employ a fullback, at a higher clip.
I mean, I could definitely see it happening. And of course, what you do in Minnesota, they obviously love it and they keep on rewarding you. And now I'm sure more people will recognize that as well. All right, last two things here. You mentioned recognition. I think a lot of people are talking about your head coach right now, Kevin O'Connell. He might be the coach of the year the way this is going right now. What makes him so special?
Yeah, it's a great question. The dude is super smart. KO is a wizard. He's a genius out there. But he cares. He really cares about his players. As a former player himself, he gets it. He's been in our shoes. He's been in the long meetings. He's seen it all. So for him to have that perspective, he can truly build a culture that is conducive for us as players. And when you have a culture like this, a culture that is all about doing it for doing it for each other. I mean, the sky's the limit. When you have players who feel like they can run through a wall for you, that truly the sky is the limit. And I appreciate that man for everything that he does and the opportunities that he's given me. And I've seen him give it to many team players as well.
Well, everyone is loving what the Vikings are doing right now, the entire coaching staff, the players as well. It has been so fun to watch, and we'll see what happens on Sunday versus the Detroit Lions as well. All right, last thing here. CJ, this is the NFL Spotlight Show. We put a spotlight on people who deserve more recognition. Player, coach, executive, whoever you want, who do you think deserves to be in this seat in the future?
Um, I'm gonna stick to the Vikings roster here, and I'm gonna go with my man Andrew DePaulo. He's got a pretty unique story, and he's just a great individual, and I think you would enjoy having him on the spotlight.
I love it. Special teams sticking up for their special teams, guys. I love it. CJ, I want to thank you for coming on, spotlighting your career, your journey, continued success here this season. It's going to be a fun one, and best of luck.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks.
Special thanks to Minnesota Vikings fullback CJ Ham for joining us here on the show this week. Like I said in the beginning of the show, this is now the second straight week we've had an undrafted player on the show. I love those stories, and hearing CJ talk about his journey and just going through being an undrafted guy, switching from running back to fullback, and of course now having a 9-year career, getting multiple extensions.